G'day there guys, I order Diet Coke with every meal just to be on the safe side. This is Markee, and welcome back to another episode of r/AmiTheA. Now if you love today's content, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the barbecue, chuck a like on the video while you're at it, and just tell me what you think of every single post today in the comments. Thank you. Posted by user Eric Malg. Titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to be in my father's wedding, even though I cheated too? A story as old as time. My, female 27, father, 50, cheated on my mother for 5 years with a younger woman, currently 32, and he left my mother when the mistress got pregnant. It tore our family apart. I resent my father because my mother actually loved him, and she is still dealing with this. Even 1 year after he left her. I stayed on okay terms with him because I was the one to pick up and drop off my younger brother at his place. Last week when I picked up my brother, my father had big news. He proposed to his girlfriend and wanted me as his best woman. It made me kinda mad, not gonna lie, but I kept calm and told him no. He said that what happened between him and his mom was none of our business and that I should respect his new relationship. I said I respect it, but that doesn't mean I condone it. Obviously, I would never hound him randomly about it, but I don't approve of it, and I don't like her. She knew the whole time my mum and we existed. Well, my dad was having none of it, and told me to get off my high horse because I had cheated too and I had no right. And I guess, when I was 17, I was with this boy for 3 months. I went to a party and got crap-faced and made out with a classmate for a total of 10 minutes. I felt so bad that I called my boyfriend crying and we talked it out. We broke up, I told my dad, and in 10 years I never did something like that again. I have been with my partner for 5 years. I told him he could not equate it at all. He called me a hypocrite, and that he was glad to know who I am. Driving home, I felt like I was a bit harsh. He's still my father, and he's not a bad father. I just don't want to be in his wedding. I would still go, but am I the a-hole? Personally, I can't fault you for that, 17, getting drunk as hell. A lot of people make those mistakes. You talked it out with him, and you guys broke up amicably. That was the best way to go about it, and it was very respectful. But he was stringing his wife along for 5 years with someone much younger that knew that you guys existed. You're right, it doesn't track. They're not the same things. He's just pulling at straws to excuse his behavior and drag you down with him. I would not want to be the best man at that wedding either if I was you. And personally, I don't even know if I'd want to go to that wedding. Your dad has a major hole in his brain calling you a hypocrite. I hope he learns his lesson, but as life does go, karma doesn't always find its way back to these kinds of people. Regardless, not the a-hole. You kissed another guy once when you were still a kid. Your dad hid the fact that he had been screwing another woman, did it for 5 years, and knocked her up. The situations aren't even comparable. Your dad is trying to manipulate you by saying you cheated too. The situations are not the same, he's the a-hole. The gall to even try to guilt her. The audacity. Or maybe he thought his marriage of over 15 years with 2 kids involved was the same as a teenage relationship. Not the a-hole, your father is though. He's trying to get OP to join the wedding party as a way to legitimize and rationalize his behavior. If she joins, it's sending a public message that his betrayal was okay. His daughter was in the wedding party, they must have gotten over it. This is all about public appearances and making himself look good. It's not about mending relationships or bringing the 2 families together. If he was trying to fix things with OP, he wouldn't have jumped to this whataboutism nonsense at her first objection. His bullcrap arguments and false equivalences with OP is proof that he's trying to paper over the past and reframe his past behavior as not hurtful or destructive. And OP, don't let him do it. Posted by user Accomplished Guide 12, titled, Am I the a-hole for letting my daughter repurpose a gift I did not like or want? Several years ago, I had a miscarriage. I do not know how, but my sister-in-law found out about this fairly recently, and in a misguided attempt to be supportive, she recently sent me a framed poem about babies in heaven decorated with angels. It was pretty large, very tacky, and very unwanted. Not only am I not actively grieving the loss of pregnancy, we are not religious and she knows that. Also, it's just not my style and I don't want it on my wall. Anyways, my oldest daughter is really creative and wanted to use the print itself in one of her collages. It turned out really beautiful. She incorporated the best parts of the poem and images with other pieces from elsewhere. I know this might sound cheesy, but it actually took me from being reminded of a really painful part of my life to being so grateful for the wonderfully creative kids I have. My husband got the final product framed, and it is hanging in our home. Sister-in-law saw this last night while she was FaceTiming with my husband, and she got really upset. Husband told her that while we appreciate the gesture, it wasn't really appropriate, and he thought that our daughter reusing parts of the gift was better than us throwing it out. I know this is personal for sister-in-law, as she is very religious and has struggled with infertility. But we are not close, and I don't appreciate the random angel baby poem in the mail years after I lost my last pregnancy. It's weird and invasive to me. I don't feel bad about letting my daughter cut the poem up, but I need to say something to sister-in-law to keep the peace. Am I the a-hole? I can't blame you for doing that. I can see why she thinks it's a good gesture in this one here, but it wasn't asked for, and that was her gift to you. You are under no obligation to keep it in the original packaging that it is in and not to do with it as you please. She's giving up those rights to it, and you have more than enough rights as the woman who was going through that process to do with it as you please. I personally don't know what you would say to her to keep the peace, because she obviously feels very strongly about that poem, and sometimes there is no right answer in something like this because she probably doesn't want to hear your excuses as she would frame them. I would hope she's a logical person and she can understand where you're coming from, but not everyone works that way. I think not the a-hole. I wouldn't keep a religious miscarriage poem. It's a bit weird and uncomfortable. I'm glad your daughter turned it into something beautiful for you. I agree. It came with a note from her saying that it brought her a lot of comfort and she hoped it would do the same for me. I really do appreciate the sentiment, but if she took a single second to think about whether or not that was a good gift for me, she wouldn't have sent it. This makes me lean towards a soft "you're the a-hole" to your husband. Emotions make us do weird things sometimes, and we tend to think that our emotional reactions to an event are the same as other people's. Your sister-in-law made an ill-judged attempt to share an emotional connection with you. Gifts are allowed to be used however you want, but gifts should also be received graciously. Chastising the giver isn't appropriate in this situation. If there's a way that you can share with sister-in-law that you really love having it incorporated into a beautiful work by your daughter, I think you should. Kindness and higher ground goes a long way. There's no need to hurt her over a misjudged gift. I don't know. She has a history of pushing religion on others. She's a born-again Christian, and nobody in her family is religious. So this is a common theme between her and my husband. I think it's fair for him to set boundaries with her. Like I said, I do appreciate the sentiment, but I didn't tell her about it for a reason. We are not close, and her idea of comforting me does not bring me comfort. I think I understand you. It wasn't really a gift. It was a way for your sister-in-law to force her point of view into an experience she wasn't part of, and now you are in the position to have to engage with her in a more intimate way than you feel comfortable with. You also might find it more manipulative than supportive because of her religious motives and proselytizing. But the optics of it all makes it seem like you are heartless jerks who let their kid vandalize her gift that brought her such comfort. I'd offer this advice. Apologize. You and your husband should sincerely apologize. Then, you need to tell her that you don't ever want to have another experience like this, and since you would see the world very differently, you would like to limit your contact to family events. You really seem to find this woman a chore. Graciously quit the job. She didn't vandalize it, she used it to create a more meaningful piece. It's like getting a dress that's more muumuu style and cutting it into more of a fashionable wearable piece, in my opinion. It's not destroyed, just changed to suit the user. Posted by user Throw Away 11976051. Titled, Am I the a-hole for not siding with my wife after she took my daughter's diary? Me, male 38, got married to my wife Nora, 31, 5 months ago. My daughter Madison, female 12, from my previous marriage, is currently living with me and my wife. My daughter is not on good terms with my wife. There is constant tension between the two, even though my daughter has been very respectful and keeps to herself. My daughter Madison has a diary where she expresses her thoughts and feelings and writes about what bothers her without having to bother anyone with listening. It's her choice to do that, and I respect her wanting her own space. Last week, while I was at work, Madison called me and she was crying. She told me that her stepmom took her diary and read through it and refused to give it back. She said she wanted me to come home immediately. I got home to find Nora and Madison having a screaming match. I asked what was going on, and Madison told me that her stepmom snooped around in her room, took her diary, and refused to give it back. Nora denied and said that she had no idea what my daughter was talking about. I asked my daughter to confirm it, but she didn't. She just kept saying her stepmom took it and must have hid it because it was gone that morning. Nora said she didn't do it. I got stuck. I didn't know what to do. My daughter told me to look for it. I started looking, thinking she might have forgotten where it was. And I was surprised to find it in our bedroom. I gave Madison her diary back and lied about where I found it. I secretly confronted Nora about it, but she broke down and said that I was supposed to comfort and support her because she read the awful stuff Madison said about her in her diary. I told her she was in the wrong for taking Madison's diary in the first place and causing an issue. She got mad at me and went on about how she was treated and how I was supposed to defend her from this much hate and resentment. I walked out of the bedroom. Nora stayed there all day and refused to eat dinner. I brought her dinner upstairs, but she refused to take it. I bought Madison a small box to keep her important stuff in so that she won't lose them. Madison and Nora don't even talk to each other, and I don't know if I handled this situation properly. My wife is so ticked at me and disappointed that she's hurting, and I didn't do anything to make it right. Reality check, Nora. That's what you get for looking through people's diaries. It's simply unacceptable in this day and age. Ever. Not in the history of mankind has that been okay to go read through someone's diary. And if you do go reading through their diary, don't be upset that you find things that you wouldn't like to see. People have to let thoughts out of their head, and that's completely on you for delving into opening Pandora's box. Opie, it's not your fault that she was facing all this hate and resentment. She chose to do it to herself. You handled the situation well. You didn't show any blatant favoritism. You played a humble middle ground in this, and Nora should be upset because she did wrong. She's the a-hole in the situation. I feel bad for Madison because this has destroyed the family dynamic for a little while, and I hope that you guys can bring things back together. OP, not the a-hole. Not the a-hole for the question posed, but I do think you're the a-hole for essentially gaslighting Madison by lying about where you found the diary and then getting her a box so she doesn't lose things. Madison correctly believed your wife had stolen from her, which she had, and you chose to invalidate this reality, presumably to try to not cause even more damage to their fractured relationship. This wasn't for Madison's sake, since she clearly already dislikes and distrusts Nora. Rightfully so, it would seem. This was so that you could keep both women you love in your life and on good terms, rather than tell Madison the truth that she was right and have to deal with further fallout. Making your daughter think she was wrong that she had been stolen from and that she had wrongfully accused Nora unfairly is not good parenting. I would have to think long and hard if I wanted to stay married to someone who treats my 12-year-old in such a way as to warrant my child to write about her negatively in that diary, only to have my wife steal it, lie to my daughter, lie to me, and then expect sympathy for their abominable behavior, going so far as to say that you should side with her over your own child. Lol? No, wait. I wouldn't think long and hard. I would protect my child and divorce that wife immediately. Smiley face, love heart, facepalm. Can't love this comment enough. The wife makes my skin crawl, and this isn't a one-off occurrence. Back your daughter. Be honest with her about where you found it right now. Your wife needs therapy and a divorce. I'd give her a box with a lock and tell the wife she needs to apologize and then do some therapy. I never kept a diary because my brothers were intrusive jerks, mostly the older one, but at least I knew my parents would never have messed with my stuff. You're the a-hole. Not for siding with your wife, she was 100% in the wrong, but for this, which was the lie about the diary. You lied to Madison, thus making out that she was in the wrong for accusing Nora, and so Nora will not apologize to her for what she did, and Madison will never know for certain that your wife completely broke her trust and now knows her inner thoughts. You let your daughter down so fudging much. She deserves the truth, an apology from each of you, and you need to make it very clear to Nora that this kind of crap will not stand, that she needs to respect your daughter, and that you will put your daughter's well-being first. I'll take it back. This is a you're the a-hole judgment, or everyone sucks here except Madison. I was wrong about my interpretation of OP's actions. I apologize. Posted by user, I called my wife sexy. Titled, Am I the a-hole for saying my wife is fudgin' sexy? Throwaway for personal reasons. My wife is 5 months pregnant. Recently, she has been feeling a little bit insecure about her body due to the pregnancy. I always try to compliment her to raise her self-esteem and try to remind her that she is an absolute stunner. My mum is staying with us for a couple weeks. My mum, usually very sweet towards my wife, has been awkwardly very critical of my wife. We have a pool in our backyard, and my wife was lounging in a bikini, and my mum insisted that she cover up because she was being shameful. Also, my wife still works out regularly, completely her choice, not mine. And my mum started talking down to my wife. My mum told my wife some very hurtful things when she was working out. After those 2 incidents, I asked my mum to stop being completely unreasonable because she was making my wife feel incredibly guilty over nothing. My wife and I were planning on going for a nice day out while my mum was meant to be away. My wife hasn't really left the house since the pandemic hit and started working from home, so she wanted to get dressed up. She came out wearing a semi-tight dress, which she looked great in. She was a little nervous coming down the steps though. Her bump was visible and my mum was glaring at her. So naturally, I told her that she was very fudgin' sexy. My mum first got mad at my wife's outfit, claiming that she wasn't being modest enough for a pregnant lady. Then, as we were driving my mum to my aunt's house, she turned her anger onto me for 2 reasons: enabling my wife's behavior and treating my wife like a random girl instead of my wife. I said she was sexy rather than she was beautiful or gorgeous or pretty, etc. To be fair, I thought my mum was joking at first about the whole not treating my wife as my wife, but she wasn't, and left the car mad at the both of us. Me, mostly. My wife isn't upset that I called her sexy at all, but my wife ended up making my mum her favorite dish for dinner as an apology dish. I think she expected me to do the same, but I didn't want to. I wish she hadn't as well. My mum is mad at me for not apologizing to her for being inappropriate, and apparently my aunt is also mad at me for the same reasons. Am I the a-hole? What the hell? What's your mum's problem? She never had a fun husband before? Why is she hating on her for having a baby bump? She's been pregnant too. Since when did lounging around in a bikini in your own house become shameful? Who are you showing off for? What's your problem, lady? If anyone has a problem, your mum has some mental problems going on there. I see no reason to back down from those comments. I would absolutely do the same for my wife because she deserves the world. In the future, if I ever get one, that is. Not the a-hole. Edit. Thank you for all your feedback. My mum has only truly made comments twice about my wife's choices during her pregnancy, and I shut those comments down completely, though I understand where the confusion may have come from. My mum is staying with my aunt now. You're not the a-hole for calling your wife sexy, but you are the a-hole for letting your mum abuse your wife while she's fudging pregnant. Your wife is a saint for continuing to put up with your mother's bullcrap, in her own home no less. You will remain the a-hole until you put your foot down and tell your mother she's got to go. That's completely valid. I've told my mum to stop and that she's making my wife feel bad over nothing, but maybe I should take the extra step and make her go live with her sister for the duration of time she has to be away from her house. Shape up or ship out. Edit, that's directed at the mum. Hell nah. Tell her she's fudgin' sexy even more, mate. She needs that kind of support way more than your mum needs an apology. Ain't the a-hole, you're a good husband. Posted by user name change throwaway O. Titled, Am I the a-hole for not changing my name? So this just happened and I'm not sure how to feel. My ex and I divorced 12 years ago. We have 2 children and share custody. We have a great co-parenting relationship and have had 0 issues with anything since our divorce. My ex met his now wife 5 years ago and we get along good as well. She's a good stepmom to my children and she treats them like they are her own. I have remained single by choice because I spent most of my time at work or with my children. I date occasionally, but I'm not looking for anything serious. My ex and his wife were married 2 weeks ago and I'm very happy for the both of them. I think it's great that they finally made it official and they found happiness with each other. Tonight, my ex's wife texted me the following. She says, "So I think now that me and ex are married, you should change your name. After all, there can only be one Mrs. X's last name, smiley emoji. So I say, hi, wife's name. I hope you are both doing well. I'm a little confused as to why I would need to change my name. Well, because we are married now and I'm his wife. I should be the only one with his last name. X and I have not been married for over 12 years. The reason I did not change my name is due to all the professional certifications and licenses. X and I agreed when we got divorced that it was too much of a hassle to change everything, and I would keep my last name the same to avoid the stress and headache of having to do that. She says, well, that changes now. You will change your name immediately. I didn't respond to the last text she sent, and after about 10 minutes, my ex called me and demanded to know why I upset her. I sent him screenshots of the texts and my replies and told him that this entire conversation is ridiculous and immature. He told me that maybe I should just change my name so he doesn't have to deal with the drama. I told him I refuse. I said again that we agreed during the divorce I wouldn't change my name, and even if I wanted to, most of the state's offices and courts are closed where I live, and it would be near impossible to do. I told my ex that we haven't been married for 12 years, I have zero romantic feelings for him, and that the only reason I have maintained a relationship with him is because of our children. I told him that they are our priority, and we need to all get along to raise them as good co-parents. I told him that changing my name won't make me any less my kid's mother or his ex-wife, and that unfortunately, new wife needs to deal with it. He told me I was making his life difficult and wishes I would reconsider. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to change my name? No, not at all. I don't think this wife understands the complexities of changing the name, or is just denying the reality of it all because she wants her way. If I were you, I would make her sit on it and rotate if I were you, OP. She cannot and will not have her way, screw her, and screw your ex-husband for, enabling this behavior. He should have shut this down ages ago. Not the a-hole. Update, thank you all for the overwhelming support. It truly means a lot. I thought maybe I was being unreasonable, but I see now that this is very common. My children and I all have the same last name, and that is again a reason I don't want to change it. While our oldest no longer lives at home, he's in the army, my youngest and I make frequent trips overseas to visit him whenever possible, so having the same name on our passports is easier. I also looked into the time and cost to do the name change last night. I would have to have a formal court hearing with a judge and have a signed and sealed decree to change it at a DMV and Social Security. The courts here are closed due to the obvious reasons and are only hearing emergent matters, so my name change would be delayed. Not to mention the cost of this will be in the thousands, and that includes the reprinting of all my degrees and certifications, new office letterheads, business cards, updating to the state list for my profession and my malpractice insurance. This will not be an easy process. I think I'm going to address this with my ex-husband in a few weeks when all parties have had a chance to calm down and reflect a little. I think that there may be some underlying issue at play. And for those who asked, the reason for the divorce was infidelity on his part. I was working 2 jobs and putting myself through school, and he felt ignored. So, he decided to cheat, and I decided to get rid of 250 pounds of dead weight. Smiley face. Okay, and I think that's where we're going to end today's episode, guys. As always, I do hope you enjoyed it, and maybe even learned something from these stories. Just want to say a quick shout out to my Patreon subscribers and my channel members. You guys should be on the screen right now. If you do see yourself, I want you to give yourself a little pat on the back for being amazing and supporting me on this channel, this little journey we're going on the YouTubes. I really appreciate it, and you guys enable me to do all this amazing work. So if you do see yourself, I love your face and I'm happy to see you. Also guys, if you want to pitch in your own support, you don't have to, but channel links are down in the description below to support the Patreon, the channel membership, whatever you want to do. It's kind of like tipping me if you feel like I'm doing a good job on this channel. I will be opening up avenues for content on those in the future. Just right now I'm kind of bogged down and stuck in Ireland, but you know, it is what it is. Anyway guys, with that said, I do hope you have a wonderful day today. Whatever you're up to, I'd love to know down in the comments below. I do hope you have a good day, night, sleep. Whatever you're up to today, tell me, and I'll see you in the next episode, guys. Bye.